Nerdcast assemble!
Stay dandy, baby. Class is officially in session, my friends. Welcome to another Patreon-supported review. Today's video is brought to you by a good person by the name of Ulysses Mendoza, who recommended that I check out Classroom of the Elite, an anime series which is based on a light novel series as well as spin-off manga and anime. And I finally had an opportunity to sit down and watch the very first season of the show, which unfortunately is the only season of the show. I say unfortunately because Classroom of the Elite is pretty damned awesome. I didn't expect to like this show as much as I did. In fact, that's my favorite thing about these Patreon reviews. Whenever there's a recommendation for a show that I think I'm really gonna like, I end up thinking it's okay. Whenever it's a show that I would potentially never look at, it always ends up blowing me away. And I can honestly say that Classroom of the Elite, while it is incredibly over the top at times, has got to be one of the more engrossing series that I've ever seen, and might very well be my favorite anime involving a classroom. And by the way, that's saying a lot because, like, 90% of anime always involve kids in school. I don't know what Japan's obsession is with kids in school and all of the drama that they go through, but this was definitely a pretty exceptional one. The only thing that I could even compare it to or even think that I think is on the same par might be Assassination Classroom, but this one, like that series, also has another twist. This isn't just your regular slice of life anime series. This is a show that, believe it or not, has some surprising sci-fi elements, not to mention some extreme drama which goes over the top in the best way possible. But enough about that, let's go ahead and jump into Classroom of the Elite. Classroom of the Elite, as I said, is actually based on a Japanese light novel series which is written by Shogo Kinugasa. It's also received a manga adaptation, but today I'm going to be talking about the anime version of the show which aired in 2017. Earlier I mentioned that Classroom of the Elite does have some sci-fi elements, but that doesn't really become clear until a little bit later in the series. At first it seems kind of like your typical classroom anime, but Classroom of the Elite is more than meets the eye. The series itself seems to take place in the future, where all of these kids go to this very advanced school, which is the Tokyo Metropolitan Advanced Nurturing School. This school is actually dedicated to raising all of these children who are going to basically be the future of the entire country. Essentially, the students that go to this school are the cream of the veritable crop. They're going to end up being the leaders and politicians of the future of Japan. However, this is no normal school. In fact, it's almost like its very own little country that exists within Japan, as all of these students have a tremendous amount of freedom within this space. But let's talk about the main character of this series, who might be one of the most intriguing main characters that I have ever seen. The main character of the series is a young student who goes by the name of Ayano Koji Kiyotaka, and Ayano Koji is pretty freaking weird. Ayano Koji might be the most emotionless anime character that I've ever seen, and at first, it made him really funny. It's not until the final episode of the series that you realize that Ayano Koji has a lot more going on under the hood. While he seems really smart, he gets poor grades. He's unmotivated by everything, whether it's hanging out with his friends, participating in extracurricular activities, or just going through the everyday motions of everyday life. However, what's remarkably interesting about Ayano Koji is that he's very aware of everything that's going on. He knows everything that he's doing is not necessarily normal for a teenager to do, but he continues to do it anyway. In fact, one of the biggest things about Ayano Koji and all of his fellow classmates is that he's actually a part of Class D, which is like the lowest ranked class in the entire school, and he intentionally did this so that basically he could just sort of eke by. So while Ayano Koji might come across as kind of cold and distant from some of the other characters in the series, he actually does have his reasons for being the way that he is. In fact, Ayano Koji actually takes advantage of the fact that all of the other students seem to have a little bit more of a personality than he does, and it's his interactions with them that honestly I think are the best part of the entire series. Aside from Ayano Koji, the other main character of the series is a female who goes by the name of Horikita Suzune, and at first she seems very similar to Ayano Koji. It's not until about later in the series you realize she's a much more emotional person, and she simply just has has a little more drive. She does want to be the best. She does want to make it to Class A. The problem is, she's always paired with Ayana Koji, who seems like he doesn't care about anything. She's also desperately trying to live up to her brother, who is the lead of the student council in this series. And if you've ever watched any other anime about school, you know that the student council might as well just be the Gestapo of the entire freaking student body. It always manages to make me laugh when I watch different anime series about school and how seriously they take the student council, as if they're some sort of weird, corrupt, evil government. But this is another series that does it, and it manages to make me laugh every single time. Another character that I really like is Kishida Kikyo, and she is a very two-faced character. I don't want to get into spoilers too much, but initially she comes across as this super nice girl that everyone absolutely loves. She's essentially the idol of the entire class. It's not until about halfway through the series that you learn that she's actually putting on this facade, and there's a much darker part to her personality in the way that she actually manipulates people to get what she wants. In fact, that's pretty much the point of the entire series, is that looks can be deceiving, and that a lot of these characters have a lot more going on than actually what's on the outside. But most of the drama from the series comes from the fact that not only are these students in a very high-class school, but they're in a school which is going on a point-based system. Essentially, when they arrive here, they're given these lodgings and all of these points, and they can spend these points on all types of things, whether it's food, clothing, video games, anything they want, basically for entertainment value. However, all of their points come from just about everything they do. Not just the tests that they take, but just the normal interactions that they have with their fellow students and even the other class members. So this is actually going to result in a lot of them making this bad decision where they end up spending their points on all of this frivolous stuff, realizing that they should have been saving up and simply just studying the entire time. This is where Class D has most of their drama come from the fact that they're looked down on as basically the worst class of the entire school. And if they want to claw their way up to Class A, they're not only going to have to study their asses off, but they're going to have to be watching themselves at every corner as they're constantly being judged by the rules of this school. This whole point-based system adds a tremendous amount of tension to the actual show. In fact, I would argue that like the first half of the series is maybe a little too intense. It comes across as too serious at times, but luckily there are a few moments throughout the series which remind you that there are some tongue-in-cheek moments for the show, and it isn't afraid to have a little bit of comedy and even some laughs. Hell, there's an entire episode which is essentially a beach episode, which involves a lot of the male characters trying to set up hidden cameras in the girls' bathroom. It's at that moment that I realized that I shouldn't be taking the show all that seriously, that and the fact that every single character is just so freaking over the top. Whether it's the students, the side characters, or even just the homeroom teacher, there is this level of intensity to the show that's almost hard to actually describe. You kind of have to see it for yourself. While making this review, I've been debating whether or not I want to talk about some of the major spoilers of the series, as I really want a lot of people who've never checked out this series to check it out for the first time. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put up a big ol' spoiler warning right here. This is the moment that you need to be warned, because I'm going to talk about some pretty major stuff from the series, how it actually all ends, and some of the bigger shocks and surprises that actually come from Classroom of the Elite. Okay, you've been warned, let's go ahead and jump into it. So, like I said earlier, there are some minor sci-fi elements which are actually prevalent throughout this entire series, and even some outlandish storytelling. In fact, the final couple episodes of the very first season is actually an arc which involves all of the students, every single class, actually being dropped on a deserted island where they have to try and work together and gain points so that they not only can survive, but also so that they can actually make it to the next part of their class. And this is where we actually get to see a surprising amount of tension and character development from every single class, and we even get to see that they all manage to make it out, and Class D even manages to win this big competition, which of course is a huge win for them, and it's all thanks to the dealings and the plannings of Ayana Koji and a lot of other people. But it's in the final episode of the series where things truly become clear. So, throughout the course of the entire series, we have these flashback sequences all about Ayana Koji as a child, and we get to see that he was a part of some weird government experiment with all of these other children who are raised to essentially be the ultimate student. And we get to see that as time went on and he spent time with all of these kids, little by little they were whittled down until there was only one left. and that was Ayano Koji. He basically was primed and prepped to be the ultimate student in terms of not only his mind and intellect, but even of his body. He doesn't seem like a very athletic person, but he can move really fast. He can actually throw down in a fight. He is very athletic and capable, but he never seems to act on any of this. He doesn't want to draw attention to himself, and that's all tied to Ayano Koji's plan to be the very best. He simply is using everyone around him for his very own gain. Whether when he was a child, when he was manipulated in this mysterious white room, or even later on in the series, where it seems like he's forming relationships with his other classmates. But no, that's not the case at all. I'd say the final minute of the very first season might be one of the most shocking things that I've ever seen, as you feel like it's going to be this really great emotional moment where he finally interacts with Horikita and actually considers her a true friend or even a possible love interest. But no, he has this inner monologue which essentially reveals that he has been using these students simply for his very own gain. They are just tools to prop him up to basically succeed and win at everything. Basically, in the last minute of the last episode of the first season, you get to learn that our protagonist is an unreliable narrator. He's essentially the villain of the entire series, using everyone for his very own personal gain. And watching that scene for the very first time had my jaw on the freaking floor. This was the moment where I went from liking Classroom of the Elite to absolutely loving Classroom of the Elite. It made me not only appreciate the character of Ayano Koji a little bit more, but the entire series overall. And man, I just want to see so much more. This first season only scratched the surface of what this entire show is going to be capable of. There are so many side characters in this series which are absolutely rife for development. Now, as far as I don't know how successful the very first season of Classroom of the Elite was, and I don't even know if they're even going to try and bring us a second season. But the way that the very first season ended just begs for another season. Now, let's talk about the production value of the actual series, and this is where I also have a lot of praise. The series has great character design. Almost every single character is very distinctive, and you recognize them immediately. And this is also going to sound really strange, but I love the look of the eyes in this series. They're not just a singular color. A lot of them are also kind of very strange for the typical eye colors that you see, but it makes every single character's gaze incredibly striking the entire time. It also helps that the series itself is very bright and colorful and has a very clean look throughout most of it. For the most part, it's consistently pretty incredible. Again, there's nothing too crazy actually going on in the episodes where the animation demands that it be intense, but then there are moments where it actually works out. There's a fight scene towards the end of the series which is competently done, and it was really great to see a different environment towards the very end of the series, which clashed a little bit with what we saw earlier on. But for the most part, it's a really great looking show, and if you like really attractive looking characters, you'll like this show too, because pretty much every single character in the show is a freaking supermodel. Just a lot of pretty students who are thrown into a very, very dangerous environment. It's over the top in the best way possible. It knows when to be cheesy, it knows when to be emotional, and it knows when to be intense. It has a great cast of characters which ultimately carry it the entire time. I can honestly say that Classroom of the Elite was a pleasant surprise from beginning to end. At first, I really wasn't digging it all that much, but when I finally got past the third episode, I honestly couldn't stop. It just sucked me in the entire time with its great production value and its engrossing story, which when every single time an episode ended, I just had to check out the next one. Again though, I can't stress how good the characters are in this show. They might look like your typical anime fluff, but they are surprisingly developed and human. And Ayano Koji, again, I think is what sort of holds it all together. He is this cold, emotionless character that by the end of the series is going to make you rethink the entire show that you watched. And I thought that that made it a pretty powerful experience. So my experience with Classroom of the Elite is that I really loved it. I'm giving it a thumbs up, a 5 out of 5. This was a pleasant surprise of a series that I'm really glad that I had an opportunity to watch, and I really want to see more. If they're not going to do any more of the actual anime series, I want to look at the light novel and the manga, and I can't say that too often about some of the shows that I watch, as I'm definitely more of an anime fan. But this one right here is definitely one you might want to consider checking out if you're looking for an intense anime series about a very intense high school. Mr. Mendoza, thank you again for recommending this anime series. It was a very fun show to watch. I really appreciate your donation to the channel. It gave me an opportunity to check out a show that I would otherwise probably never watch. So yeah, thank you again. So that's my thoughts on Classroom of the Elite. If any of you guys did have an opportunity to experience this anime series, whether it be through the anime, the manga, the light novel, give me your thoughts about it in the comment section below, about your favorite moments from the series, favorite characters, and if you would like to actually see a future for Classroom of the Elite. Would you like to see a Season 2 and beyond? Let's sound off in the comment section below and have a big discussion all about it. So there it is, my friends. Thank you for watching this Patreon-supported review. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one. Make sure to hit that like button if you did like this review. It would really help out this video a lot. If you are subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit the bell notification icon. It's going to let you know when all of my videos are released. Again, getting back to my Patreon, Ulysses Mendoza made a donation to my channel, so that's how he got this review made just for him. If you guys make a small donation to the channel, I will review an anime series of your choice. I have a few more Patreon reviews which are going to be coming up over the course of the next month, so please stay tuned for all of that. Again, any and all donations would be amazing, guys. I would really appreciate it. But again, one of the best ways to simply support my channel is watching these videos. I can't thank you all enough for that. So there it is, my friends. I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.